This is Between Hooksets. I'm Jason Walter from In Through the Outdoors with my partner in slime, Kurt Underhill from the fishing crew.
Woohoo! Well, here we go. I don't know. Kurt is in some limbo thing. I'm not quite sure. Do you know what you're doing? Or well, we can hear you, but we can't see you.
I'm going to try to pop out and pop back in.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I'm taking you out if you're going to be like that there. All right, so I'm going to take him out anyway. Now watch him pop in because I want to make sure that I do this right. Now that we've done what we've done. It's one of those things, you just wing it and you go with it. Chris Philen is with us here tonight. This is going to be a fun night. And Chuck Whitworth and Tom Sieburg and Tony Boyd, and then another surprise guest and maybe another surprise guest. We're going to go with it, and we're going to see what happens. Chris, thank you very much.
My pleasure, man. It's always fun to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is one of those things. I wanted to reach out to you last week, and we had a couple other things cooking, and I thought last Wednesday would have been absolutely perfect. And then Monday came along, and you know what? I think this Wednesday night's going to be a great night to talk about fishers of men and get serious a little bit. I feel like this is a great night to do it. There was something that just said, "Hey, make the call, get a hold of Chris, see what Chris has to say, and if he's on, if he's in, he's in." And I'm excited. So I'm glad that you're able to make it work. And then you also have some of your fishers of men. You have the men of fishing, I probably should say, that are going to join us here. So good evening, Uncle Lou. How do you do? So Chris, let's get right into the fishers of men. You invited me to join along, and things with my new job didn't work out. And frankly, I felt really kind of bad about it. I didn't even go to a glow. You didn't go to a glow because of fishers of men, but now I'm having a better understanding of what's happening and what's going on, and I'm excited for the potential and the invitation for next year.
Well, great, because it's there.
Thank you.
Well, it's just going to get bigger and better as we keep moving forward. We grew. This thing has been going on now for close to 10 years. Actually, I think this was the 7th year that I kind of took it on as an individual. The few years before that, I was a part of another group, because Fishers of Men is a nationwide, for sure, I'm guessing worldwide organization, but it's just kind of like the JCs or anything else where you have a president, vice president, treasurer. They all get together. Right. And the whole idea is, again, to service work in the community to help not only promote fishing, but to use that as a tool to introduce people to Christ and to help build the kingdom. So obviously in the Bible, in Matthew 4:19, it says, "Come follow me and I'll make you fishers of men." He didn't go to any ordinary people. He specifically looked for these guys, fishermen. Why?
Right.
Because fishermen have a lot of these character qualities that he knew was important, which would be patience. We sit in the boat for hours casting in. We have perseverance, where we're always snagging up, we're getting bit off, we're not catching anything, but yet we keep going after it. And that's the type of individual that Christ wanted people to follow him, to keep on that mission to draw people to him. And so this whole idea is just getting a bunch of guys together. It's all laid back. There's no there's no judging here. There's no requirement whatsoever. It's just a bunch of guys who enjoy fishing, and we eat really well. And then each night after dinner, we have a little devotional. And then through this, we just create this incredible bond with each other. And we sit around and we share stories and testimonies about who we are and where we're at in life and how we got there. And that's what it's all about, is building this brotherhood. And we just want to keep that moving, because, this world is I don't have to tell you how dark it is. Ooh. And Jesus is all about light. And so what we want to do is just continue to bring that light in and show the truth to people that we don't have to live that way. There is a better way, and there's freedom in it.
Yeah, it's interesting. We had a nice chat today. I will run into people from time to time, and you know how it is when you bring God into a conversation, like tonight, right? It for some odd reason, I don't know why it scares people away. I don't know what makes people apprehensive or nervous, but I will have people who will, and this is in my radio world, right? Because there are a lot of people that will call a radio station because they're looking for a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And they need a friend, and there are two things that I tell them, and I'm not I'm a farm Christian. I mean, I will admit that that's the way it is for me now. My water's getting warmer every day, but I am a lukewarm Christian. But the thing that's so important, and maybe I'm wrong, and you can tell me whether I'm right or wrong. I always tell them fellowship is healing. You've got to have fellowship. If you are spending your life by yourself and you're not talking to people and you're not having that fellowship that's really important, you're missing out. And then the other thing that you really have got to do, you've got to have a friend in Jesus. You have to have peace in the Lord. You have to have peace in your life. And if you have that, you are open to everything great. It's truly amazing. So that's why I think I'm super excited about the conversations we'll have tonight and the testimony that we're going to hear from a number of people. And hello, Kurt.
Yeah. Hello.
Welcome.
Starlink went haywire. Everything went haywire. It was all working and then nothing.
Yeah, I thought maybe you were still doing the Stockman's Livestock Fall Brawl there for a minute. Like, did he not get the message it's over?
Well, here's the thing. I finally got on, and then I realized you guys were still connected to all the crazy stuff you did over the weekend once I got full internet. So now I'm here. I'm in. I was catching it because I was trying to connect to other Wi-Fis, and it was clipping in and out. So I'll let you get back to your conversation, then I'll join in a second.
Well, okay, we'll let you get set up there. So, Chris, let's it's 7:07. We were talking about having our first guest pop in at about 7:10. So go through the process here. You talk about friends and food and fellowship and everything, but where did this whole thing start with you guys? And in Minnesota, there are obviously other fishers of men throughout the country. There have to be, but did Al kind of get this thing going? How did it start?
Well, it started for me at Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge. There is a large Fishers of Men organization out of Brooklyn Center, and these guys partner very closely with the Brainerd campus. They take the guys out in the spring and in the fall on these little retreats, and the same premise. Hey, let's jump in the boat. Let's share some stories, get to know each other, and talk a little bit about the good news, and then have a meal and then a little devotion. And so that's kind of where I was first exposed to it. And then after Teen Challenge, one of the guys that I met, who's now one of my best friends in the world, his name is Randall Miller. He is actually a retired chaplain for the military. He invited me on a Fishers of Men group from another church, and we started doing that. And after a couple of years, I'm like, dude, we could do this ourselves. And that's kind of where it picked up. So I just started inviting friends, and a lot of them have stuck. Some have dropped in and out. And the idea is, hey guys, this is great. We're all Christians. We're all believers. But the fact of the matter is that we are fishing for men. We're trying to keep a line in the water, doing a little trolling here. So if you have that person who doesn't know Christ, who is on the fence, maybe he's going through something, is fighting a battle with addiction, or maybe they're having trouble at home with the wife or kids or whatever it is, those are the type of people that we want to invite and say, you know what, there's other things in the world that are going to just distract you at all times. Let's focus you back here, because this is where the real freedom comes from. And and do it in a soft manner. And again, fishing is just a great tool. We can get in the boat, we can share our love and passion for that, we can hopefully learn from one another, and then the conversation is that much easier. And it's amazing. And a couple of the guys that are going to be on tonight, Tom and Tony, are kind of in that. They were kind of in some muck, And not that their lives were bad in any way, but, they were dealing with stuff. And I reached out to them, I invited them, and they were kind of apprehensive, a little anxiety about what to expect and, whatnot. And I think that when you hear from them, what their experience was like and what's going on in their lives now, you're going to see that Jesus is real, and Jesus is really somebody who's going to change lives if you actually let him actually do that, have him, as they say, take the wheel. So that's kind of the premise behind it. And like I said, it just kind of keeps on growing. And this year, I put a little bit more heat behind it. My friend at Sandy Beach Resort, his name is Shane Schumacher. He's one of the owners. The whole family is kind of in on the operation, but they've opened up the place, and I think we could fill the whole place up next year. I mean, literally every cabin, it's starting to get that big. And we had a lot of fishing personalities, a lot of guides, a lot of pro hammers in the NWT, and I think we might even talk to a couple of them. And if you saw the picture, even the Godfather himself, not only the Godfather of fishing, but the Godfather of fishing for men, Al Linder,
Right.
and Brett was there as well. I mean, it was the Holy Spirit was moving in the room. There were some people listening. There were some people talking, and you could just tell something was happening. And then as this started going further and out past it, the responses and the texts and the feedback has just been overwhelming. I mean, literally chills and tears.
Well, like you and I talked, and I had mentioned that I was nervous and scared. Had I gone this year for the first time, there's something about it. I'm not quite sure, what it is. And Kurt, I don't know if you, feel the same way, where you feel a little apprehensive. I mean, the minute you start talking about God, somebody talks about God, and I don't know why we back up a little bit, why we shy away from the conversation, because I think we all need the Lord in our lives more than a little bit more every day, right? I know I do.
And you're not alone. That's a normal,
right.
normal thing.
And so, and you told me that earlier today too, where you're not alone. And the good thing is you're never alone, because you do have God and Jesus Christ to talk to. And I tell my son that at 18, and I pray for that he'll listen to the still small voice inside and follow it. And that he will talk to God if he needs the help. If he's not going to talk to his mom and dad, talk to God. Please do that.
Well, that's one of the amazing things about this, and what I was trying to say earlier, is that you really, through this group, form this unbelievable relationship with these guys, this brotherhood. And I told you before, it's like anything in life. I used to say this about drinking all the time, and it's not mine. It's something I picked up along the way. But if you go to the barbershop every day, eventually you're going to get a haircut. You kind of adapt and become your surroundings, And so if you're not around God, and you're not reading the Bible, you're not going to church, and you're not around people of that, like, ethnicity, and it's just not part of your being, and that's going to cause you to kind of step back. So when you start getting into a group like this and see how casual it is and how cool it is, and then how freeing it is once you actually get there, I think that's where those walls start coming down. Those walls are very natural for people, and again, it's because we condition ourselves for things that we don't know. And I'll tell you what, that's the devil. His number one tool against all of us is fear. He wants you to be scared. What you're scared, you're not going to go seek. So we need to bring that down, and we need to reach out to people in a way that's, not intrusive, and it's not judgmental. It's just very loving, and say, hey, man, I'm here. If you need something, I'll pray for you. I'll talk to you. I'll be there, whatever it is. And that's the type of brothership we're trying to promote, and then take it into our families, and then have that spread out. And that's what we need. And, the Jesus revolution.
Yeah, I agree. Let's bring Tom Sieburg in. Tom, how you doing tonight?
Tom's here.
Good. How are you guys doing?
Fabulous. Absolutely wonderful. Thanks for joining us. Tonight is one. It's a different night, right? We're all fishermen. We all, I guess fishing is probably one of the oldest professions. It goes all the way back to the Bible. It's a way of life, and it's a means of life and a living. And here we are doing it. And I'm glad that we can take the time to talk about this. I hate to call it a tough subject. To me, it's not a tough subject. If I mention God on the radio, And I'm talking about Phil Vassar. You know, this is God, and it was a great song, and it was supposed to be this great tune, and it went nowhere because people were too afraid of the word God. I think God Only Knows is about the only song that really hit the masses, and that's a shame. It really is. But you've got a great story to tell. You were, and I told this to Chris earlier today. You were riding high. You were the world walleye champion, the Masters Walleye Circuit, and it seemed to me like life got a little tougher for you. And here, this is no judgment, right? This is friend to friend, seeing that Tom needs something, and I thought about it a lot, and I we talked, we had conversations here and there, and I'd get done and I would enjoy the conversation, but I'm like, I don't know if I can give Tom anything more or what he might need, and maybe this Fishers of Men retreat was the something you needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of quick backstory. June, July, the guide business, people know I'm wacky. I travel all over and guide, and it's a very difficult thing. And June, July, I was very busy. Business is going great. And August, it was like someone shut the door, put me in the dark. And it was to the point where I literally was almost kind of depressed because I was not getting any traffic on the website, not getting any phone calls. And I literally was like, okay, God, am I supposed to go back to welding? Like, you got to give me a sign here. Like, I thought I was doing what I was meant to do. And what should I do? And a couple days went by, and all of a sudden, I don't know, probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon, my phone goes off and I get a text, and it's from Chris. And I'm like, oh, well, what's he up to? And I open the text message and I see he sent like a invite with a PDF, kind of the outline of what's going on. And I remember kind of just not even reading it all the way. I read part of it and I looked up and I'm like, okay, this is the sign, right? Like, I was even still kind of doubting, like, this has got to be the sign. Like, it's got to be the sign. I'm supposed to do what I do. And this is part to help me do that by whatever this may be. I'm just going to go. And I had I scared in a sense. Like,
yeah,
I didn't know what to expect. I knew Chris,
don't blame you.
And then when it came to the thread, Trapper, Joshua Jones, he was on it. I'm like, well, I know Josh, so I'm like, there's 2 people I know. So at the very least, I have 2 people I can talk to, because there was a lot of people on this thread. And, we got there and people were showing up, and I was kind of like, I don't know, this is kind of outside of me. It felt good, but it felt different. It was just something, until you experience it, it's hard to explain how a guy feels in that situation. And then after the first night, we had a pastor come in and did a devotion the first night. And then we had this 5-star cuisine chef there, which is Chris, which, he made the joke that he's going to expand this, but I want to know at the end, we need to talk, make sure the same cook is going to be able to cook for 100 people. But, then the second day, you start, I think the key to why this works so much is when we're all fishermen that are there for the most part. And there was a couple guys, that didn't really do much fishing, but were there because they thought they could give some insight on their, how they came closer to God and everything else. But for the most part, everybody is a fisherman. So that's kind of the talking point, is you just start kind of talking and fishing this, fishing that. Well, then next thing you know, somebody talks about, the time that they knew that, Jesus was there for them and God because of this happened or that happened. So you don't get pushed away, right? Because you're already comfortable. You're talking about fishing. So now this comes in the subject and you're like, yeah, and it starts making you think of reflecting on things. And then, so we go through, and I don't know, of course, Al comes in, and, quick story for me and Al. Al is the reason why I am as humble as I am, and I spend time and talk to kids and everything else, is because Al stuck up for me when I was between the age of 10 and 13 at a tournament. Never forgot it. It was something that is probably the most coolest thing I've ever experienced, was be able to tell Al that story and then receive a hug from him. And he told me, thank you for telling him that story. And it just was one of those experiences, right? That you just as a young kid to get to where I am now, it was just a full circle piece.
Right.
Just to jump in, his version of this story doesn't do it justice, because Tom was in flat out tears, babbling, and
really?
we actually have that on video. But yeah, it was a tear drawn moment. I mean, it was good.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot to that, but that's the recap of that whole deal. And it's, and Al's one of those people the whole time when I was growing up. It's Al's Al. Like, nobody. Al is who he is, day in, day out, every day, every second, no matter where, right? So when you start looking at those people like that, it starts making you reflect on who you are. Are you the same in front of the camera, behind the camera, or every morning or every night? And so it kind of opens, I started kind of opening my eyes a little bit and like, okay. So then I think it was the last day of fishing, is me and Chris and another guy named Tom, because Chris says, well, I'm going to have Tom in the boat. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, no, Tom and Tom. So lo and behold, Tom had never fished with live scope or nothing, right? Like, never, just I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, I think he's an insurance sales.
He's an insurance salesman. He's fished like 5 times in his life, and it was always, I'm going to go to the ocean with a guide, or I'm going to Canada with some buddies and a guide. But he doesn't know how to tie a line or a jig to a line.
So I had him up front of the boat with live scope and showing him some stuff, and within, I don't know, probably 5 minutes, maybe 15 at the very most, Tom had caught a bass on live scope, seen the fish, threw it, made the hook set, reeled it in all on his own. And to see, he was just ecstatic that, he did something like that on his own, and the coolest part why I, bring that up is he gave kind of his expertise as far as his faith with God to me later on that earlier that night, me and him just having a conversation. So that's what I kind of found funny, is that, we all kind of traded things, whether it be verbal or like me showing Tom how to, live scope or whatever it may be, or giving people tips on something that I may know that they didn't know. It's just a cool dynamic on how it works. And, then it was, we're getting ready to leave, and leaving was almost like you were almost upset that you had to go home. Just like it was just such a good time. You felt like by the end of the trip, there was everybody, had everybody's phone numbers. Like, you felt like this was a group of guys you've been going on a guys trip for the last 10 years. It really was incredible. And the reason why it felt like that is because we all had 2 things in common. Number 1 was God. Number 2 was the fishing aspect. And if you would have rewound this somehow and asked me to say that before this event, I would have said we had 2 things in common. We had fishing and God. And I say that like that because it kind of put a perspective that everything gets so busy. And like, Jason, you had said, I win the world championship, got, thrown into the top here and just kind of rode a wave. And, and I had other people like, you're doing well, but you always seem that I'm like, I just felt like something was missing, and I always thought maybe it was missing because I wasn't doing enough, or if I wasn't hitting another goal, or I wasn't competing hard enough. And then after this, it was just kind of like, no, I know what it is. I raised Catholic. I kind of had some problems in the Catholic Church that I didn't agree with. But then I realized after talking to all these guys that I didn't need that. I had my own church. I had everything I needed on my own to be closer to God without having to step foot into somewhere or listen. I have a Bible. Like, that's all. At the end of the day, I think a lot of people, where we get scared off, is everybody thinks that you need to go to church all the time. And that is an important part, is that connection with others, right? But
Yeah, the
just to get
fellowship.
you going. You just need that. Just read it. You don't have to. I'm telling you, I started in Genesis, and it's like a backwards, upside down instruction manual for printers. The only one that knows those is Kurt would know how those things are read.
No. I just sell them. Do not work out.
But just to try to wrap that up, tell them a little bit about like what you told me, what's been going on in your life, since you got back, and your business was falling apart. You're thinking about stepping away, and it was causing other anxiety with the family and whatnot. And just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I got home and I was felt just a relief, just kind of knowing that I don't have to do all the burdens on my own. And so I just kind of started reading a little bit more and saying more consistent prayers. And I think it was like a couple days later, I got 3 bookings one day. And then literally later on that night, got 2 more emails. And then within the matter of like 48 hours, I had 5 people on the books. And I was just like, wow, okay. What's been missing is I've been trying to drive instead of, I hate to say the cliche of Jesus take the wheel, but I was trying to drive my own line instead of knowing that, it's not all up to me.
So would it be fair to say that I guess the road was your God at that point? So to speak? And you needed to look at him and think of him first.
Yep. And it was, and it's crazy since then, we all kind of still chat in our group, and, I've talked to Chris and, sent him text messages letting him know that, if I can come back next year and coming next year and bringing my son, Jake. And it was just one of those things that, if you ever have a chance to get involved in something like this, don't overthink it. Just go and just be yourself. And within a matter of time, you're going to see that your hesitation and everything else was nothing to worry about. Like and I know, and I'm the same type as a lot of us, that, I'm not going to, when it gets talked, you kind of shield yourself and turn away. And then with that brotherhood, you feel that you're like, I don't have to turn away. I can voice it. I can talk about it. And that's a key, is really finding a group of guys that, can relate, that, we weren't born and all of a sudden we're 100% walking faith, 150%, and I think a lot of us feel that, everybody else has done better. We've all done whatever we've done in our past. That's just how we are, right? Like, so, but yeah, it is truly unbelievable. And there's no way I can thank enough for the 5-star chef. This guy, I'm telling you,
this guy, cook.
It's just not a cook. He's a chef. He can do whatever when it comes to food and do it. We had 20 some people, Chris, that was there, and you made food for everybody. And it was like, I just looked at him. I'm like, how is he doing this? He's running from there to there to there to there, bringing this pan in, that pan in. And I'm like, where's all this food? Who's all going to be here? And then it's just this guys. I'm like, boy, there goes my no carb diet that I've been on for a while. That went out the window. Yeah. Let me tell you in a hurry.
Don't come to my event don't come to this event with a carb diet. That'll get blown up.
I don't think God wanted us to be hungry. It's okay to eat, and He gave us bread. So there's your carbs. You can't argue with it. Italian gosh, stuffed with banana peppers. I'm like, oh my, we brought bananas to the sausage there. Look at that. Well, but as long as Trapper,
keep him out of the boat. Yep, there he is.
Yep,
boom.
Old Trapper.
Well, Tom, I hate to cut you short, but we've got other guests that want to get them on here, and I can't wait to spend some time with you on the ice talking about some of this stuff and enjoying some great conversations. So thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody have a good night, and I'll watch and see who else is going to be on.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you very much. All right.
We better bring Chuck in. Looks like he's standing outside trying to get light for himself.
Well, Chuck is waiting because Tony's next, but Chuck's here now. So Chuck, hello.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So as our pregame started, I was looking for my wallet, and that's why I'm not in a beautiful studio like you guys. And I did find it.
You did.
It was in my cart at Fleet Farm.
Nope. Well, somebody was looking out for you then.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us your story.
So my story's a lot like Chris's there. I was a pretty successful guy by the world standards, from the outside looking in. I just spent an awful lot of time at the bar, and apparently as a married man with kids, it's not real good. And one day it came to a point where my wife had said, she said, if he comes home drunk again, I'm leaving. That night, I did my best to come home drunk. I pulled in the driveway and got a DWI right in my driveway. And she didn't get a chance. I didn't get a chance to walk in the door for her to walk out the door. I knew I needed to change something. I'd tried on my own a million different times. And most people in addiction can tell you the same thing. They've tried it every which way, white knuckle it or whatever. And then I told her, I said, hey, I'm going to go to Teen Challenge. I'm going to go to Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge. And we're gonna give God a whirl for everything we got. And my life's radically changed since then. I guess there's no other way to say it, but putting God in the mix and letting Him drive the boat. We've heard several guys talk about it so far, but letting God drive the boat or take the wheel or whatever. I think old Tom said, "Jesus, take the wheel." It worked, and I haven't looked back since. My marriage is doing well. My kids are doing well. Business is doing much like Tom said, man. I gave my whole life over to God, and business has followed. I can't see it as any other way but a blessing in return.
Amazing. Yeah, and we've got to have the guts, the intestinal fortitude to let God into our life and make Him a part of us. I mean, he's our one guy, right? He's the one guy that doesn't judge. He's the one guy that forgives. He's the one guy that we can lean on. And I say it when I pray. I don't pray it every night, but I pray it a lot. I say I can't do it by myself. There's nothing I can do alone. I have to have you. I have to have you in my life. I need your help. And when I started praying those type of prayers, things changed for me, and it's important. You got to let them in, and you got to listen to that still small voice. You have to.
Yeah. I think, as men, it's one of the hardest things we can try to do, one of the hardest things we have to do is give it to God. We get in our own darn way more often than not.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I can do it. I can handle this on my own, and you end up stumbling and fumbling and not doing so hot in the ordeal. Maybe for a short time you do fine, but the long run, not so great.
Yeah, well, it's good to know that we can be in the palm of God's hand. I mean, that to me, that is a reassuring thing. I mean, that in the beginning when I heard that, I'm like, really? What? But I understand it. I understand, like we probably all do, and it's so important. And then to be able to come out and admit it, or not even admit it, but just to be truthful with the people around you, right?
Right. And that was part of it too. Is I had to make a lot of decisions, and I had to, fortunately, in the long run, I had to cut a lot of ties and connections with people that I thought had my best interest, which turned out that they were in it for the party, and they were in it for the, maybe the free drink or the, whatever it is, or the fishing buddy or hunting buddy or snowmobiling buddy. I mean, there ain't no question that I built some serious bonds with guys around a beer bottle or a whiskey bottle, you know, that share the same passions we all do.
There's no life at the bottom of the bottle or the bottom of the can. I tell my boy that all the time. They're just, you know, there's just no life there, right?
Right.
You know, and Tom, telling the story it truly is. And honestly, and I'm going to try to make this very, very quick because I don't want to steal the stage or time at all. But the reason for Between Hooksets, the reason for tonight, the reason for Kurt and I coming together, I was asked to do a radio show, 2-minute radio show. I came up with In Through the Outdoors. And here's the deal. 4 years, really, nobody even cares about it. And I've had friends say, well, do you like to do it? Yes, I do. And honestly, I've told my mother, this isn't me. I didn't want to do this. I didn't come up with Chase and Walter. I didn't come up with the Rotten Dock Bar and Grill. I didn't come up with In Through the Outdoors. And so it keeps going and going. I did an episode called My Trip to Namesville. It is a 2-minute episode on every name from every guest I had in my first year in 2021. Kurt heard it. And that's how Kurt and I came together and everything. Even when Kurt and I talked Sunday night after a tournament, I said, I got nothing for In Through the Outdoors. I have nothing. I don't even know that I can have episodes for October 6th. October 3rd, I'm done. There's nothing. Yesterday, I had 5 episodes done before supper time, and they just came to me. And so here it is. It's the hand of God. It's God. It's a higher power. And it's amazing when you are willing to go with it, right? Because it's not your schedule. I'm in Mobridge. I 5 years ago, I'm moving to the river because that's what I'm going to do. And I'm here 4 years later. It was God's idea. It was his plan. And when I finally said, it's not my plan, I'll do what God tells me to do, I'm here. And it's amazing. Yeah. So, you know, I can't wait to share my story with you guys next year and to hear everybody else's story. It is truly amazing. And I thank you for coming on tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I could beat on what Tom talked about. Chris is an okay cook. He does okay. Chris is a phenomenal chef. I've been able to experience it. He and I do some fishing together. Every now and again, we fish leagues on Monday nights, but we get a chance to do some fishing, just leisurely fishing, and it's always followed with lunch or dinner or breakfast or whatever, and he knocks it out of the park. I hate to say it, there ain't a restaurant around the Brainerd Lakes area that can compete with Chris's Kitchen.
Gain 7 pounds, Tom. That's 7 pounds that you're going to hang on to all winter long, right? That's not coming off anytime soon. You're going to have to wait and get to spring. But I think here's one more thing for me, and I think it would probably be the same with everybody else. I don't do my In Through the Outdoors episodes for anybody but God.
Yeah.
You gotta
do it. And I know some people would shake their head, but it's true. You know, I do it for God, for myself, and it's amazing. Andy, you've had some great stuff tonight. Thank you for commenting. It's wonderful. Chuck, I don't want to say goodbye to you, but we've got a few more. Oh no, cheesecake. Is
no,
there
absolutely. I just, you know, the God that we serve is real. We've been talking about it all night. This Fishers of Men that we do is absolutely awesome. I look forward to it again next year, and all the guys that we've been talking with and chatting with. We started this on a text chat weeks before it started, and it, you know, the thread just kept going and going and going, and it's still going now after. And I just look forward to getting out on the ice with these guys and having some laughs and just having a good time. And
well,
just
the funny thing about it is I had for a long time a spring and a fall version of it, and the spring kind of died down a little bit. And the spring actually was usually a trip to South Dakota, whether it was Chamberlain or usually Waubay. So we might have to throw that back on the mix this year. So that's a little closer for you boys.
Yeah, I like the idea. Chuck, thank you very much.
I have a real strong feeling about getting out of the Brainerd Lakes area on opening weekend while every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the country's coming here to fish walleye. So I go to South Dakota for our Minnesota opener.
Yeah,
I'm usually setting my wife up to shoot gobblers that weekend. So
there you go. That's good. Chuck, thanks very much. Have a great night. It's a pleasure
all right,
to meet
thanks
you.
a lot, guys. Have a blessed night.
You. All right, Chris.
The great thing about South Dakota is we don't have an opener.
I know.
Exactly.
I'm actively looking for land.
Yeah, right.
We never
Right.
have an opener because we make too much money with pheasant opener. We don't need to close our fishing season.
Exactly.
All right, Chris, I want you to introduce Tony Boyd.
Well, Tony's kind of ironically enough, somebody who is, how you just become friends on Facebook, kind of in the same fishing circles and whatnot. I didn't know a heck of a lot about Tony. And I got involved with this great organization called the Futures Anglers of Minnesota. And I've just been on fire for these guys, what they do. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but learn about these kids, learn about these programs. And I know one of them who joined us on this trip. I kind of reached out to this kid. His name is Callan. And Callan is Catch 'em All Callan on Facebook, and he is a little hammer. And his mom let him come for the weekend. He had to leave for a little bit to go to a trap meet, but he came back, had a ball. He's like 14 years old, and I know he's watching tonight. And anyway, they asked me to speak at one of their free clinics, and I just gave basically my testimony and talked about goals and what was important priorities. And Tony and his wife Abby were there, and she came up to me and said, I'd love to learn more about this thing. I think it would be great for Tony. We're doing good and everything, but I think he struggles with some of this, and I think hanging out with you guys could really open a door for him. I said, well, that's exactly what this is all about. I'd love to have him come. So I reached out and sent him an invite, and he came. And with that is how Tony's become a good friend of mine now, and he's joined us tonight, and we're going to share a little bit about what's been happening in his world.
Hi, Tony.
I'm just going to say the food, yes, 100%.
Because you're living this. The people are going to come next year and go, "What is this slop?" These guys are just full of it.
My only question is, I know I didn't catch the beginning of this because I had technical difficulties, but did you catch any fish or just eat the whole time? Because nobody's they're just talking about.
I only ate once a day, but it was enough.
You should see the pictures. We just killed it.
No, like exactly what he said. Like I said, I was at that FAM event there helping out. We drove over there with the kids and took a couple kids out. Like I said, I was lucky enough actually to listen to Chris speak, which I still remember that when he was speaking, because the first thing he probably kind of brought up with fishing was, he remember when he was a kid and he was riding on a bike, rod strapped across the front of the handlebars going anywhere he could fish. And I was instantly dang, I was like, that was me. Like, remember when I used to go through the change jar at home and go and find nothing, just buy a dozen leeches and go fishing. And then, like I said, got an invite to go here. It was the same thing Tom brought up. Like I said, you're kind of apprehensive a little bit. Like, you don't really know anybody, things like that. Which, you kind of got to expect that. But just like I said, I got there and I remember to sit down on the couch when I got there, just said hi to everybody. And the next thing you know, you're just having a conversation 2 minutes later with people you've never met. And it's like you knew these people for 15 years.
Amazing.
And I'd say that was that's like I was explaining to Abby there the other day. It's like you showed up, it's like you weren't even weirded out by where you were at. It's like you're out at home watching TV having a conversation. And that's in the first 15 minutes of being there. And you got 2 days, so it's you almost feel lucky the whole time. And I was lucky enough to fish with Tom. I was the first day, and we had a blast. And even better, he drives Yardcraft. I got Yardcraft. Everything works out good. But I said, my biggest thing, I guess, when I went there, I didn't know. I remember telling my mom for years, I'd go fishing every Sunday morning. That was my thing. I was always told my mom, that's my church. That's just quiet. You kind of get your own time to actually just reflect on things. Luca, I'm busy, buddy. We got a little one here. Say hi.
Yep, that's all right. Bring him and let him say hi. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Hey, well, I'll come finish watching Dennis Menace with you in a little bit. You know, I've seen you too. Okay, bud. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay? Okay. I did. I'll tell him about you in a little bit. But like just going back, it's like I didn't know how to speak to God. That always was my thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard,
always
right? Yeah.
Firm believer, all these things. And then like the biggest thing I learned actually was when I was there, it isn't knowing how to speak. It's literally just letting him in. That is, to me, that's it. And I remember like, it was actually after on this thread text that we kind of all have. I remember somebody was showing like verse of the day. And it was, well, basically that day I started like looking through the apps, trying to find that app and downloaded it. And I heard there was a app, it was like a verse that came through. I'm not the best verse. I'm the worst with names too. But there was one that basically told you that, you know, where are your words and your actions on your forehead? And like the way I interpret things is put it on there because that's where everybody can see it. Is not be ashamed of the words you say, not be ashamed of the words you or the actions you do, but make sure they're in God's way. And that's just a thing that I think if you just do that in life, like life, not saying it gets easier, but you're happier with yourself in the day.
Oh, and that's important. If you can find
Yeah.
happiness in yourself,
Yep.
that's a hard thing to do, right?
Very much so. That's the thing. And then another thing, like I even told Abby, I remember I called her the minute because I had to leave the last night because I had to get deer hunting stuff ready for us. I did, but I told her I was like, same thing Chuck brought up was, I left a lot of friends over the last year. I mean, just kind of slowly faded them out, and I walked out there. I was like, you want to know what? I'm not friendless anymore. I mean, that was like literally for me, that was everything. Like my heart just kind of emptied out. It's like you have the same, like just morals. The same people are excited about you doing good.
Right.
Because I don't think we see that enough nowadays. Where people get jealous, friends get jealous of goodness. And that's, to me, that was my hard part. And then I remember even talking to Chris before I left that day. We sat down, not really sat down, but had a little talk before I'd leave that day. And he gave me just words of advice of just making sure relationships stay good, like at home. And like I said, Chris, we pray every day now, like together. And like we get excited about it. We talk about it. We have conversations about it afterwards. And it brings people just close. And it was so much fun the other night, actually. It was Luca, the one that was right here. He had bad dreams the night before. Didn't want to go to sleep the next night. So I laid down about it with him and I put my hand on his heart and I said, God's in your heart. And his body went to like just numb, like he was ready. He woke up the next morning, he said, I had no bad dreams, I had only good dreams, and God's in my heart.
Oh, awesome. That's
like that kind of stuff. I mean, it's like I just noticed life, like just learning how to just be able to speak with them. My life's changed 110 degrees in a month. And it's a beautiful thing.
You with your kids, and for me, I always felt like I had to yell at my kid to make him understand or listen, and I've learned that I don't. I talk to him at his level. Now that he's 18, I tell him that it's your life. I will still give you suggestions. I'll guide you. I'll help you, but I'll support you in whatever you do, whether I think it's wrong or not, because you're the one that's going to have to figure it out. And so it's hard to let go of your children as well, but to be able to provide that comfort that you did that night, that's a lasting thing for Luca, right?
Oh, 100%. He don't stop talking about it until today. It just reminds me he's right here.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, think about the importance of that.
I gotta share with you, and I don't think he'll mind, but I was talking about messages and text, and one I got from Tony just hit me to the core, and it just says, "I can't thank you enough, Chris, for last weekend. I've been in contact with others there, and I can feel my life changing in front of me. I'm feeling like I'm finally ready to say the sinner's prayer and getting baptized. God bless." And then later on, I had invited him to the church, and he said that he and I were going to figure out how we'd make that happen. And then I sent him another thing that was just a little sermon. It was just a quick 45-second minute long sermon, and he goes, it was actually a Charlie Kirk deal, and he said he's the one I used to listen to for years, and I finally understand that all he speaks with is about the Lord. Even Abby says she's seen the changes in me, and the changes in our family have been profound. Thank you for recommending that we share prayer every day. We already look forward to it every day. And so, I mean, those are the kind of things that, I mean, that's the type of freedom. That's the kind of peace. That's the type of thing that is just, you don't get that. That's the peace you get for Christ. And that's what this is about, is showing people that door so they can walk through it. And Tony is an absolute blessing. He is just not only a wonderful human being and just a great part of this group, and I'm so glad where he's at right now with the Lord. But man, you want to learn how to fish and fish well. This kid's an absolute hammer. I mean, he's dialed.
He's good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And people out there, did you eat, or is that all you did was eat? You should get on my Facebook feed and look at all the fish pictures.
Oh yeah, the fish pictures, the food pictures. Yeah, right.
I mean, that was one of the reasons I stopped bringing this all over to different places. I just said my buddy Shane's got this place called Sandy Beach Resort, and it is not only a great resort, but it's on world-class fishing. I'm like, why are we going anywhere? Let's just stay in our backyard and fish here. And it's prime time. So
we got your salsa set aside when we go to church with you.
Oh yeah,
love it. Tony, anything else you'd like to say?
Oh, I guess I would say it's just don't put so much weight on your own back. I mean, I did that for the last 20 some years, and just being able just to relax and just give it to God to kind of go with you in your own journey and your family's journey. Just don't. I think we fight ourselves more than we need.
It's the hardest thing, and I don't care. If you want to look at this little program that's been around trying to save lives for years called AA, that entire premise, every single step in the AA 12 steps is biblical. They've dumbed it down to keep people to come through the door now and took God out of a lot of it and changed it to higher power. But that very first thing is admitting that you are powerless. That again goes back to a guy in our machoism and our mentality that we can't surrender. And the moment you finally surrender to Christ and realize that I'm at my very best, my best thinking and my best at everything that I'm doing has got me here. This ain't working anymore. God, I'm giving it to you. I'm going to follow you. And when you start doing that, you'll start seeing the change. And that's again what this whole thing is about.
Fantastic. Just the overall fellowship with the people you meet. It's not. It could be just resources for the rest of your life. It could be friends for the rest of your life. It's
real friends. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I told. I was so excited when I got on the phone with her when I left that night. I was like, I came there with, I'd say 0 friends, like actual friends, and I left with 20 plus.
See, and right there's the power of God, and the whole, the peace beyond all understanding and the letting go. God literally took the people out of your life that you thought you needed to have, and he knew that you didn't need it, but he replaced them with people that you need and that you're looking for. So it's truly amazing, and people maybe people don't see and understand that, but there's always an answer in God. It may not come right away, but there's always an answer, and it's amazing.
Gotta ask him.
Yeah, appreciate you, Tony. Appreciate you. It's great to meet you. Thank you very much.
Great to meet you all.
Thanks, Tony.
Excited to meet you in person. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Look.
Oh! I didn't mean to cut him off that quick there. Well, I'll tell you what, we've got one guy left here, and Chris, I'll let you introduce him because I lost the pronunciation. I don't know if I could pronounce his name right, but I'll let you introduce him anyway.
Well, this next guy has become a good friend of mine, and it started out with fishing, and then just being a fan of his prowess on the water is one thing, but then following him as a human being is a whole nother level. This guy is one of the most humble, giving, kind people I know, and just exemplifies what fishing for men, fishing and giving back is all about. And he happens to be the 2-time world champ. His name is Tom Wynn, and I'm very excited to have him join us. Tom actually piggybacked the day after Al Linder was with us. Tom had some other commitments and showed up Saturday and surprised everybody. So we had a heck of a time just hanging out, and looking forward to next year, and hopefully Tom can spend some more time and we can do some things on the water and put some food in his belly, because he didn't eat anything.
No.
He was eating. He was eating the green room before he came on, and
Chris, you're gonna have to give him a warning.
you said his name wrong. It's the franchise.
The franchise.
Franchise.
That's right.
Yeah, I forgot that Kurt could see me eating all that stuff in here. But you guys are just making me hungry.
I thought you were trolling.
Well, basically, this is what you do when you troll, right? Just sit here.
Right.
But no, I was invited. Chris invited me out, and I really wanted to come, but I already had a prior obligation, and I was like, well, I mean, those things mean a lot to me, and that you guys talked about. These things aren't talked about in public very much anymore, and one thing that a lot of people don't know about me, I'm going to keep this real quick, but that growing up in Arkansas, my grandpa taught me to fish up from the farm ponds, and one thing that people don't know is he was a preacher, and so I grew up in the church. Basically every Sunday, every day was basically Bible study. We're just being at my grandparents' house. My mom lives out there on the farm still. My grandma and grandpa's house was right next door, right there on the farm, the only 2 houses out there. And so, just meeting, knowing, getting to know Chris a little bit and seeing his faith and all that. And Joshua Jones, one of the best humans on this planet. Tom Sieburg, I hear you guys talking Tom, and makes me a little bit jealous. Sieburg, that was mine and your deal, right? But just to be able to, like a lot of you guys said, we probably don't go to church as much as we should, things like that. But my grandpa started a church early on in his life. It was a Methodist church, and then he got a little bit kind of tired of the labels, I guess you want to call it. The are you Baptist, are you Methodist, are you Lutheran, or whatever. So he just started his own little church out of his own pocket, and it was just called Christian Golden Rule Church. And just the name of that church alone is stuck with me, and that is my guide on basically how I try to live the golden rule, and do unto others as you would have to you. So like that is my way of like day-to-day things that I always try to keep in my mind going forward, no matter if it's business, if it's fishing or coming across people. And but that's every day, just trying to live that way and inspire others just through trying to continue to do good, so that's, I couldn't stay with you guys that long. I stopped to say hi, but next year, schedule permitting, I'd love to be there, and we're gonna try to fill that place up.
Mm-hmm.
Jody, thank you. Yeah, and that's something that we've never talked about that with you. We've never talked about. I guess because you pretty much you leave God and religion out of stuff when you're talking about fishing and tournaments and different things like that. That's why I thought tonight would be so special to be able to have this conversation and have this conversation only. We're not talking about fishing. We're not talking. We mentioned fishing. We mentioned food, but it has been all about faith and God, and I'm truly blessed. It's been an hour now, and it's been a great hour, and I'm thankful for it all.
Yep, I appreciate you guys having me on, and it is, let's try to grow this thing, Chris, and I'll be right there along with you when I can be. If not, we'll try to inspire others to follow that same path. So
absolutely, and I appreciate that, Tom, more than you know. And and that's what it's all about. I mean, just again, how these things all snowball, and we learn about each other, and that's really what it's all about. And in Revelations, at the end of the Bible, it says that we are saved by the word of our testimony and the blood of the Lamb being Jesus dying on the cross. That is key, but it's our testimony. We're telling everybody about how we came to know the Lamb, and that's, we didn't know that about Tom, five minutes ago, and right. That's the type of things that are coming out, is that we're sharing, what God has done in our life, and when people see that miracle, they see that freedom, they see that peace. That is, what draws them to God. And, there's so many people that have so many mixed feelings. There's, I use that term with you today, lukewarm Christian, saying you believe in God is one thing. Following God and Jesus is another. I mean, there's a lot of people walking around that proclaim they're Christians and they don't live a very Christian life. There's a difference between, because if you don't think the devil believes in God, you're wrong. The devil believes, but he's not saved by no ways. He knows there's a God. So believing is one thing, following is another. And, so there, we just remember the old thing, what would Jesus do? We just got to kind of keep that in mind. And that's kind of what Tom is talking about, as you grow closer in that relationship, you'll start being convicted about these things. What are you watching? What are you saying? What are you, putting around yourself or in yourself? And is this what God would do? Is this what he would want of you? And so that's what the building of the relationship is. And then you start sharing that with people and it snowballs. And that's what this, this ministry is all about. And I'm always happy to talk to anybody and anybody about it. And at any level, I that's how we grow it.
Think about this too, the willingness of these people, and I would say men, but obviously there are women as well that are willing to listen, to accept it, to join, and be a part of it. To me, that's pretty amazing, because a lot of people are pretty standoffish, right? They don't want to admit. I admitted earlier, I am a lukewarm Christian. I have a long way to go. You told me earlier today, we all have a long way to go, right? And that's part of our growth. It's a big deal. And I think tonight was a great opportunity to have the conversations that we as this group want to share with people.
Absolutely. Well,
all right.
And I think you, again, from the bottom of my heart, and I think it's just so cool for you to open up a forum and a platform like this to have the conversation, because a lot of people are afraid, and but yet a lot of people are just screaming for it. Right. If you follow Al Linder, and so many of us do, how many people wait and watch or actually skip a lot of the fishing and go to the very end and listen to what he's got to say at the end? And then you go down to the comments, rifle through sometime. You want some good laughs. How many people are absolutely moved and touched by not anything that Al's doing in the fishing world, but by what he's doing in his testimony to his faith in Christ? And then you have, of course, always the keyboard jockeys that get on there and say, Al, we love you. We love your fishing. Well, let's keep it to fishing. And you don't even, Al, and people say it to me all the time too, you don't even have to say anything, because everybody else, your brothers start jumping in and saying, you know what?
Right.
You don't have to be here. You don't have to follow this. Who do you think he is and what he stands for? I mean, And what right do you have to say that? And you know, Al doesn't have to defend that. It's everybody else that just kind of comes around, and that's the power of, you know, of us coming together and being as one.
Yeah, and I, you know, I'm grateful for it. I really am. My world has changed over the last few years, more so over the last 2 years, and I see it changing in the next year going forward, because things are different for me because of guys like you, and because of Tom and Kurt and Tom and Trapper, you know, and all of these people who are genuine people that you can trust and be with. So I thank you very much. You know, for from all of the folks that commented with great stuff tonight. It's stuff that people can go back and read and look and watch over and rewatch, and I think it's amazing. So, Chris, thank you.
Hey,
Tom, thank you.
One thing, and it is fishing related. I thought we were maybe going to talk about this, but this weekend, this Saturday, is one of the coolest and biggest tournaments. It's the last tournament of the year for a lot of us. It's called the Walleye Dam to Fishing to End Hunger Tournament.
Yes.
And because the NWT, the AIM, and the MTT and everything's done, it draws just about every hammer in the country now, because they're playing for a $16,000 check. But the whole premise behind this is being the hands and feet of Christ, to raise money to give to this organization so we can feed kids, and not kids in some other country, because we have a food epidemic here in our own backyard. A lot of kids go to school every day, and it's the only good meal they get. So this organization is all about supplying our local food shelters, and not only in the Brainerd Lakes, but around Minnesota, and helping out there and helping deliver food to families in a lot of different ways that would not otherwise have it. So this organization and the cause is near and dear to my heart. If you see any of us out there raising money, know that that's really what it's about. Brett and I, McComas, are partnered up again this year, and going to have a lot of fun with that. But if you see anything, just know that's what it's about. And if you feel like that's something you want to be a part of, feel free to donate to the cause. And I think it's a big win for everybody.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and I'm glad you brought it up, because I was going to have a graphic for it. I thought about it right away after we got off the phone, after we got done chatting and setting this up, and I forgot. I plain forgot to get that graphic, and I should have done it. I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you for bringing it up, and thank you for what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So if Hunter and Will the Thrill are listening to this, we're coming for you this year, buddy.
You guys can handle it.
I love it. All right. Chris, Tom, Kurt, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate you guys.